Hello and welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, I'm going to run you guys through how to survive losing your hair. Now, you guys will have to forgive me if I'm not looking very well put together. Unfortunately, my perioral dermatitis has come back with a vengeance, so my face looks pretty horrific right now, but we're just gonna roll with it anyway. So as you guys may have known, I lost a lot of my hair back in May/June of 2020, and it's been maybe 19 or 20 months since the initial shedding began. So I thought it would be nice to reflect on how I made it through losing my hair, especially now because I've gotten to a place where I'm happy with how well my hair is growing, and I thought it would just be nice to share my process of how I dealt with hair loss. Now, obviously this might not apply to everyone, just because there are people out there who lose their hair and it never grows back, and I really can't comment on how to go through that just because I haven't been through that personally. So I'm not an expert on that by any means. I'm predominantly talking about losing your hair and then it growing back. Mini hair update, this is how my hair is doing at the minute. For those of you that don't know, I was suffering from chronic telogen effluvium, and then I also had dengue fever back in March. And then I began minoxidil, which caused me to have a massive amount of hair shedding. Obviously, the minoxidil sped up my shedding from the acute telogen effluvium from having dengue fever. And then during that time as well, I was also diagnosed with female pattern hair loss. So that's just a little bit of backstory. For any of you guys that don't know, I do have lots of videos that I will link somewhere around here so you can kind of see the whole story. So I had a think, and there were 6 different things that helped me survive losing my hair. Step number 1 is to cry it out. I feel like this goes without saying. Losing your hair is such an emotional thing, and it is completely okay to just cry it out. Luckily for me, I had the luxury of being able to just cry it out for a few days, because at the time it was lockdown. So I did have that luxury of not having to go to work and not having to go outside, and I was allowed to just curl up into a ball and cry it out. Now, my rule when it comes to crying over things is that I usually allow myself just a couple of days to cry, because I feel like if you just carry on crying and not doing anything, then it ends up pouring out into your everyday life, and then you end up self-sabotaging, which in the end is only going to make you feel worse. So I carried on exercising, I carried on trying to eat healthy, and then I also carried on trying to do my university work, because if I just kept crying and stopped doing all of those things, then it would have a negative knock-on effect. So I always say, just let yourself cry it out for a few days, eat a bunch of ice cream and just get all of those emotions out. But make sure after a while you don't end up self-sabotaging, because you don't want your mental health to get any worse than it already is. Don't let losing your hair ruin the rest of your life. So that kind of pours into point number 2. You need to accept what is happening to you. Now, of course, these first few steps are going to be easier said than done. It's hard listening to someone telling you just to accept what is happening to you, but I have been through this myself, and you do just need to accept that this is happening, because if you keep trying to fight it, then you're only going to be more shocked by what is happening to you at the end of the day. So you just need to accept that your hair is falling out. There's nothing you can do, and you just need to ride it out. And yes, of course, I know it is so hard to accept what is happening when your hair is literally just falling out when you touch it. It's such a physical reminder of what is happening to your body, so ignoring it can be very difficult. And trust me ladies, I've been through this as well. When I went to the dermatologist, when she diagnosed me with androgenetic alopecia, my hair was shedding like crazy, and she just touched my hair with a comb and so much of it fell out. I was so embarrassed by the end of the biopsy, just because my hair was all over her wonderful pristine white desk, and I just had to kind of sweep it all up and just throw it in the bin. So it is hard to accept what is happening when you're just constantly reminded about how much hair you're losing. These 2 steps are so important for just not completely trashing your mental health to begin with. So just take care of your mental health, cry it out, accept what is happening. Step number 3 is to keep a hair diary. So now this step can be a really good thing, and it can also be a really terrible thing if you take it to the extremes, which we all are totally guilty of doing when our hair starts to fall out. I see you ladies there. I see on your camera roll that you've got picture after picture of just your scalp and your hair on your phone. I completely understand. We've all been there. We just sit there and obsessively take photos of our hair to see if it's gotten any worse or if it's gotten any better. I totally understand where you're coming from, but it can get to a point where that behavior just can become really obsessive, and again, it's not good for your mental health to just sit there and constantly take photos of your hair and then get really upset by what you're looking at. Don't worry, I'm very guilty of doing this as well. The first few days I lost my hair, I would just take picture after picture after picture of my hair and just scroll through all the photos, curl up into a ball and just feel absolutely terrible. This is something you probably want to try and avoid. I think it's really good to take pictures every few days, or maybe one picture every single day, just so you have something to look back on. So when your hair does stop falling out and it does eventually start growing back, that you can look back and say, hey, I've actually made some progress here. Especially now when I look back at the photos that I took of my hair, it does make me really happy to see just how far my hair has come, and it's just really nice to see that I made it through such a horrible experience and I managed to come out of it okay mentally, and I managed to carry on with everything in my life. And yeah, it's good to look back at those photos and remind myself how far my hair has come since then. So do keep a hair diary. Do it for the right reasons. Try not to become too obsessed with the pictures. I would actually sometimes just take the pictures and then store them on Dropbox and then just delete them off my phone so that they weren't just there every time I opened my camera roll. So maybe do something like that if you're gonna end up scrolling through your photos all day. And the next step is to figure out your new look, because your hair is not going to be the same as it was before. You're not going to be able to wear it like how you used to. So this is the time where you need to figure out your new look. As much as you prefer having long, luscious hair, we need to start to take steps to figure out how we're going to make ourselves feel confident enough to go out every day. Now, of course, if you just want to shave your head and that look works for you, then more power to you, because I definitely couldn't do that, and I think it's such a powerful look for girls that are confident enough to pull it off. More power to you. If, like me, you are not confident enough to do that, then it can be a little bit challenging to figure out what you're going to do with your hair. So I'll just tell you guys what I did. Basically, hairpins are a lifesaver, because if you have really thin hair, it's going to be so hard to tie your hair back and not have people notice how thin your hair is. Whereas for myself personally, I just got bobby pins and pinned my hair back like so. So then it's a little bit more difficult for people to see how thin your hair is. Your hair's still not going to look thick at the top, and people did notice that I had done something with my hair, but I think people just thought that I had cut my hair really short. They couldn't see the extent of the thinness. The extent of the thinness that was going on with my hair if I used bobby pins to disguise it. Another amazing thing to use, especially when you're losing your hair here, which is usually where us girls tend to lose our hair. We tend to lose it kind of Christmas tree pattern. I use L'Oreal hair fibers, and these are absolutely amazing because you can just spray it on the parts of your scalp that look really scalpy, and it does such a good job at masking that scalp. I have dark hair, so I think maybe this is a blessing and a curse when it comes to hair fibers, because it was very easy to match with the colour of my hair. My hair is pretty much almost black, and I could just spray it on and it blended in really well with the rest of my hair. I can't comment on those who are blonde or have light brown hair. You'll have to try it out for yourself, but this was such an amazing tool. I honestly cannot recommend it enough. This has probably got to be my #1 product if your hair is falling out. Get some hair fibers. They're not that expensive, and it will just do a world of good for your confidence. If I didn't have those hair fibers, you would have been able to see this massive scalpy gap on my head, and I would not have wanted to go outside. But luckily, because I had those hair fibers, I could just conceal what was going on with my hair, along with pinning my hair back and it made it just bearable enough for me to go outside and face the world. So I definitely recommend using them. I believe there are some videos online that can show you how to use them, but it was as simple as just kind of spraying it from far away and bish bash bosh. At the beginning, you might end up going through quite a few bottles of the hair fibers. I went through my first bottle in about 1 to 2 weeks, and I was like, oh my god, this is going to be so expensive to keep up. But if your hair is going to grow back, your scalp will fill in, and you'll notice that you do have to use less and less. And it's such a great feeling when you realize that you're using your bottle of hair fibers less and less. The reason I did this was because I was living in a hot country, so investing in a wig for me just wasn't viable. I was working as a kindergarten teacher in a really hot country, so it would have been really uncomfortable for me to wear a wig, and also the anxiety of children pulling my hair, it wasn't going to work for me. So maybe you guys want to look at getting a hair topper or a wig. Hair toppers are good for just concealing the top of your hair, but if you've lost a lot of density, it might be worth investing in a wig. I've never used one personally just because I'm too lazy and I'm really self-conscious about making it look good. There's lots of videos out there on YouTube about how to make a wig look natural and realistic, so definitely go check them out. And I believe if you can't afford it, there are different synthetic wigs out there that look nice and natural. There will be wigs out there to suit your budget and suit your price range. Maybe ask some of the girls on our female hair loss. Hello ladies. Yeah, maybe ask some of those girls and ask for their advice about what wig recommendations about wigs that they've bought, because I have seen a lot of girls on there using wigs and hair toppers. So if you don't know where to buy a wig from, I definitely recommend joining Reddit, posting on female hair loss, and seeing if you can get some advice. So those are just a few tips for concealing your hair loss. It's up to you to decide how you want to go forward and what look you want to go with. And that goes into my next point, which is join a hair loss community. So as I've mentioned, I'm part of our female hair loss and our tressless, and these communities were so good for me when I first started losing my hair. I think it's so important to join one of these communities, especially if you're a girl going through hair loss, because hair loss can be such a taboo subject, and when you're a girl, you don't realize that other girls are suffering with hair loss around you just because people don't speak about it. So it can feel really isolating because you feel like you're the only person that's going through this problem. But actually, if you join one of these hair loss communities, then you'll realize that actually so many girls are going through the same problem as you, and it can just be so comforting to know that, and it can be so comforting to just be able to talk to other girls that are going through this and read about their struggles, and also to share your story as well and have other people send you words of encouragement, send you words of love. I think it is really good if you don't feel like you have anyone to talk to in your own personal life. I think it'd be really good if you join one of these communities just so you have that outlet of even just typing about how you feel, typing out your story. It's good to just get it out, because there will be girls on there that completely understand how you feel. If you've had a bad experience with a dermatologist or a doctor who has not listened to your problems when it comes to hair loss, I guarantee you there will be a girl out there on that forum who has gone through the exact same thing as you, and it's just so nice to know that you're not the only person who is experiencing that. I owe a lot to that hair loss community, just getting me through when I was losing my hair, and you can find some really solid advice on there as well about starting minoxidil, spironolactone, getting your iron checked. There will be lots of useful information out there that you can just read through. So shout out to the our female hair loss community. You girls are awesome, and keep doing what you're doing and keep uplifting everyone. I'm really proud to be a part of it, and let's keep spreading the word about female hair loss being a totally normal thing. And the last point is, you need to remember that every single day is going to be a step closer to growth. Now, obviously, like I said at the beginning of this video, if you are suffering from hair loss that is permanent, then you're not going to grow your hair back. But I still do believe that even if you don't grow your hair back, there will be some personal growth that you do go through. Every day that you get through is going to be one step closer to things getting easier for you. Hair growth is such a slow process, so it can be really hard to feel like you've got a win when your hair's not going to grow back for a really long time. I mean, look at my hair. Now it's been 19 to 20 months and it's still, you know, obviously I'm very happy with it, but it's still thin and it needs to grow out. It's not long, luscious locks. I've only just been able to start braving wearing it down out in public, so it has been a long time, and I feel like because it takes such a long time for your hair to grow back, you need a win that's going to be closer. So every day that I was losing my hair, I would just remember, okay, this is bad now, I'm losing a lot of hair, this is really horrible, but you know what, the next day it's going to get better. Maybe the next day you're going to start shedding less, or who knows, maybe the next day you'll start shedding more. But even after that, as the days go on, you're going to get closer to your hair not shedding anymore, or you're going to get closer to your hair growing back. I know things can feel really terrible at the time, but every single day is a day closer to your hair growing back. And even if your hair doesn't grow back, I still believe that every day that you experience what is happening to you, you will go through some type of growth, be it superficial by your hair growing back, or be it internally by just growing so much more as a person. I think losing your hair can teach you a lot of things that just make you mature and understand the world a little bit more. I don't really know how to explain it, but trust me, you will go through some personal growth. You're going to be so different to who you were before you lost your hair, and hopefully over time that is a good change. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching my video. I have been rambling on and on, but I just wanted to make this video for any of you guys that are losing your hair right now and you're going through a difficult time. I just wanted to reflect on things that I had gone through that had made losing my hair easier for me. And hopefully watching this video can make the experience of losing your hair just that little bit easier and that little bit more bearable. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, be sure to give it a like. And if you're enjoying the content, be sure to subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next one.